All right, everybody. Welcome to this week's Bill and Ammon's Bogus Hangout. We're getting started a little bit earlier today, but nope, there we go, 1 o'clock. We're good now. We're going to go ahead and start the show off with a few introductions, and we're going to make Terry go first today. And he's muted.
Not muted. I didn't have the microphone turned on.
Oh, there you go. Same thing. Let's try again, Terry. Who are you?
Terry Van Horn. They sometimes call me Webmaster T. And I live in Toronto and don't do much other than just be.
Awesome. Mr. Simon Cox.
I'm Mr. Simon Cox, a technical, almost an illustrator thing, because I used to do that many years ago, to do technical illustration. But no, I'm a technical SEO consultant in sunny Lingfield in the UK.
Awesome. Zara Altair.
I'm Zara Altair, and I write content for the web, but mainly I'm bogus.
Awesome. I'm Steve Grenzer. I am the CMO over at Web Narwhal, which generally means I have to do everything except for the things that Doc does. At some point, we'll make that change. And yeah, and Doc will be with us shortly, we hope. So what all have you guys been doing this week? What's going on new in the world?
Did anybody besides me get their first video Google video email from somebody who was going to save me from this dreadful thing? It's like,
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
Search console, yes. I've seen those. And interesting report. On my personal site, I didn't get it, but there's no videos on the site. And I was really hoping I would get it and see if it's all wrong, because there has been some reports from people already saying it's a bit sketchy in places, and it seems to be using techniques to find where the word video is on the page, rather than actually seeing if there's a video actually on the page. So it's going to be interesting to see how well it works. And if you're using video a lot, I imagine it'd be quite useful. From a technical SEO point of view, good for finding stuff that's not working quite right. And that's always a good thing.
Yeah, I had one that showed up, and I'm still waiting for the verification, but yeah, it was good to know because it was from several years ago. And I went and checked the link, and that was working, and it took me to the original source, and I think it's fixed, but Google hasn't told me it's fixed yet.
Right. I got an email for a client and then a call from the client freaking out that, all of their videos, they're like, oh my God, they're going to de-index all our videos. It's like, no, that's not what they're saying. Take a deep breath. We're fine. We'll get through this, just not this week. We'll deal with it next week. We have, we'll get you on the schedule. Mr. Jeff Ferguson, welcome to the group.
Hey, Jeff.
So party
Who
people.
are you? What do you do?
So how about I've sat in on 1, 2, 3 different content AI webinars in the last week.
On
Oh my
purpose?
God.
Are you in
On
trouble?
purpose.
Do you need
Well,
help? Just blink
I'll-
or something. Let us know if you're in trouble.
The main reason I sat in on them was I was really curious to what all of the gurus for AI content, how they're spinning all of this. Because obviously a lot of the world is freaking out.
Mhm.
And for the most part, there's 1 or 2 people who get it and understand that the AI content isn't just fire and forget. It is a tool to help you if you're not a very good writer.
Mhm.
You have a lot of information, maybe English isn't your first language. Those are areas where AI content can really help you. But for the most part, The rest of them were like, oh yeah, don't worry about it. Google can't tell. They'll never know. It'll be fine. And those were the ones where I just kind of sat back and enjoyed the show.
Yeah.
When you
Right.
consider most of it comes off the web, Google definitely knows where else it is and that you duplicated content.
Yeah, I just
It's like advanced spinning.
Yeah.
Not even advanced.
Yeah. It's not even that good. Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's much more advanced than, you know, putting 4 or 5 words in and as replacements for one word. It is more advanced. Here's one thing. I did try it out, Steve, and here's
Yeah.
what I thought it was really good for. I asked for details on all the updates of Google since Panda. And it did list each one and what it was targeting in a couple of sentences.
Huh.
Yeah.
And it was accurate. So
I use Phrase.io, and I think the really good way to use that, and certainly for people who can write, use it as a research tool. There'll be a writing stuff, but actually give it, especially if you're writing in something, you're a good writer, but you're dealing in a subject you don't know that much about, you can gather all this information really quickly and easily using that by putting headings in and just pumping the stuff up. Most of it that comes up is not going to be suitable to just copy and paste, but you're writing that stuff and you're getting that information and you're writing it yourself. And that's very good. If people think they're going to spin these tools up and just pump out thousands of pages of really good content, got another thing coming completely, because sites where you've got experts writing the content who know about the subject really well are going to beat them every single time. Doesn't matter how good the writer is. If you're a subject matter expert, you will always write better, well, not better, because subject matter experts usually aren't that good at writing, but somebody edits it, that will always be better than something spun up this year.
One of the things that Bill and I spoke a lot about just in the last year that we were hanging out was a patent that he looked at on authorship. I advise everyone to read that patent, because the things that are in it, Google knows authors for sure. Like, I was going through my listing on Google profile for my company. It had me as an expert in stuff that I have written for companies that I work for.
Wow.
It's pretty amazing. And if you look at some of the stuff in that authorship piece that Bill wrote, you'll see that one of the things they can do is they can identify who originally wrote a thought, or basically were the first to write about a concept or something like that. Everyone after that is thought of as a less superior writer on that subject. Very interesting stuff. Nobody really looks at that patent very much, but since I've read it, I see it everywhere. Like, especially when I was looking at a site that had a number of authors going back over a decade, it was more interested in indexing the author pages than it was the pages that they wrote.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things I was reading about, I guess a couple of weeks ago now, was information gain, and I think that is an illustration of how that works, is that the original thought is the original thought. And I wrote an article, I guess last month I wrote it, you know, when you're doing keyword research and all of that stuff and looking for your topics for content, that yes, you can organize the the topics and get topics specific for whatever article you're writing, and then the subtopics, blah, 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 blah. But the thing that's going to make your article stand out is the original thought that you put into that
Exactly.
article, whatever that original thought is that comes from you. That's the thing that Google notices, because the rest of it is all everybody else wrote about these keywords, right?
Yeah.
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 Okay. I'm really glad to see you nodding, Terry, because
Oh, I totally agree. Like, people don't realize when you write a post, there's probably literally thousands of other posts on the same topic.
Yeah.
And
When
guess what? Those are the ones that Google doesn't index. That's why people are coming across that.
I don't write very much, and I certainly don't write for clients. But what I do when I do hire writers to write for clients, I don't give them a list of keywords. I give them, this is the topic, this is the direction I want to come at it from, and here are a couple more sources for you to reference while you write towards this. And then,
oh, that's so hip, Steve. I wish
what-
everybody did that.
Well, and that's just it. I mean, because most of the content writers that, when we first started doing that, we're like, well, how many keywords do you want? How many?
Yeah.
Like, no, those things are irrelevant to me. I want you to write the article. Well, how long do you want it to be? As long as it needs to be.
Mhm.
If it needs to be 400 words, then 400 words. If it needs to be 1,200 words, then it needs to be 1,200 words. I don't care. But I need you to express this idea perfectly. And that's my goal. And when the clients allow us to do those kinds of things, it makes life easy, especially when updates like this new one coming down the pipe hit. It's going to do nothing but help them.
Right.
Yep, that's right. That is so right. And it's like one of the things I do is when I write, I do, what you just outlined. And then I go, okay, I guess I better check for the keywords. Guess what? They're already in there. Because if you're writing about the topic, whatever it is, they're just going to naturally be there if you know what you're talking about.
No,
Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, back in the old days when I used to spin a lot of content, when most people use the search and replace word stuff, I spun content pro and con, so that when the article spinner spun up and did the content, it would say, this is good for some reason, or this is bad for some reason. And that way, when I distributed the content back when you used to do that, it wasn't just repetition of the same thing over and over again. It was a huge variety of ideas on that topic, all from one piece. So, I'm glad nobody else, or very few people, were doing it that way, because it made my life easy. But anyway, you were starting to say, Jeff?
No, I was just saying, I think the only thing I've got left over that is really kind of like keyword driven in a lot of the content advisement that I do these days was we usually write, we have a kind of a decent format for a kind of like a content brief that we provide to clients that are going to write their own content. And we usually will give them kind of some outlines and say, like, these are common terms and these are common questions and things like that. And we'll kind of tie that together as a way, to inspire, but basically said, don't force yourself to do what it is. But we focus more on the idea of using a lot of the keyword languages as making sure that they're writing in the way that the people are looking for them more than anything else. Or so it's not necessarily like optimizing for keywords where we're just, trying to get them to stuff a bunch of stuff in. But it's a language difference that we're shooting for. And I'll give you a good example. We've got a newer client that's going to be coming out soon, and they actually make what they refer to as weighted apparel when it first came out. So it's similar to those weighted blankets, but it's basically apparel that's weighted, and it helps with a variety of different things, like calming some people, and it also helps with osteoporosis and a bunch of other things. So it's a thing, right? So however, they were an apparel company. They had been forever what it is, and they were using the terms of weighted apparel. And when we did our research, we said, great, but nobody searches for weighted apparel, right? As a term, like you're using it, you're the people that make these things. Of course, that's the language you're using. However, you should probably focus more on this. And we threw a lot more out of them that made a lot more sense at the time. It's like, this is usually how people are really looking for it. So clothing's all right. You can use clothing, you can use specifics, weighted vests, weighted this, whatever it is. That seems to be where the people land with this stuff. But like I said, if you kind of really lean the idea of like, we want to make weighted apparel a thing, because you can try it, you can use it. It's just not going to show up as naturally. And in these days of Hummingbird and everything like that, where leaps are made between those types of things, it's a lot easier. There's a better chance that Google's going to make that jump for you, whatever it is. But I still don't always want to completely trust it. It's something, especially for something that's kind of newish in the world. And then we tend to use a lot of that other language. We tend to present our research around certain things around given topics, whatever it is, in a very consumer journey based way. So we've got it. So like, this is the term at the awareness level. These are the levels at the consideration level. This is at purchase. This is whatever it is. And like where they kind of come up and where we've actually found it really useful on the purchase level is really making sure that we're advising them and say, hey, look, this is really what your audience is kind of looking for. These are the details that they're looking for when they're about ready to make that purchase for these kind of things. And they're looking, and some of it's, when you're talking about clothing, it's basic stuff that you shouldn't have to tell people, like, size and this, whatever it is. But in this case, when you're really specific for a product like this, they wanted to know like just how heavy it was, what genders are it's for, things like that. And it's stuff to where usually an attempt to actually make things sound I guess fancy or really appealing, what it is. Sometimes they'll miss some of the finer points of this language on how this stuff works, and that honestly does get left out. So when people are looking for it, they're going, hey, look, I want a blue one that weighs this much, what it is, and things won't show up because you just didn't even bother to include it. And it's not something where Google could make the leap because it really hasn't figured that subject out at all yet. So you just have to be the one that includes that kind of stuff. So that's usually the only time we really get anything that still looks like a classic keyword. But even then, if you're writing something that is an awareness level, like informative kind of piece or whatever it is, then we say all bets are off. We can give you some big advice on the topic and some areas that, these are questions that are getting asked all the times or whatever it is. And we've always kind of approached it from the standpoint of like, hey, look, let the writers write, let the writers do their jobs. They're fantastic at it. I wish more writers would actually be writing this content rather than people that are SEOs that claim they can write, so we say, but this is what they're usually missing is the inspiration, right? They're usually just going to say, we don't even know where to start. What are people looking for? Whatever it is. And that's where I think these tools can come in handy and said, like, as a writer myself, I can kind of say, look, that's usually my problem. I don't even know where to start. I don't know how to start the stuff. And I look at these SEO tools and go like, what a gold mine. If I was just a copywriter in general, this would be the age of glory for me right now, because there's so much of it where you're going like, look, it's all out there, like I don't have to think about what the client's thinking. It's right there. It's search has provided that kind of stuff. And
one thing I did see in regards to AI, it writes hella good ads.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that only need to be a couple sentences. Man, it's really good for that.
Oh yeah,
and they've done research into the psychology behind the words. It's very cool.
Yeah, the stuff that even like Google does inside of Google Ads these days, where they're kind of patchworking stuff together, it's totally fine. That's where copywriters tend to hate it a little bit, because they want the flowery language and things like that, which I can certainly dig. But it's like at the end of it, that gets laid to waste when the robot writes something where everybody just clicks on it all day. But
true value.
Yeah.
I just wish Google Ads wouldn't score your dynamic ad create or your responsive connection, because it's like, no, I can't keep saying these things over and over again. I need to get some variety in here, or their suggestions are so wildly wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, none of this applies. And so you don't include it, but then you wind up with a poorly rated ad or an average ad. And it's like,
that
they
sets the
rate
client off,
ads
by the way.
now.
Yeah. They do the dynamic ones, right?
God.
Yeah. Where I'm getting really frustrated with that, Steve, is that they're not only the ratings obviously are like frustrating, but the fact that they're rating too early. Like you look at stuff and go like, you don't have enough data to make that call yet. You need to take that off of there. Like that's another thing. And meanwhile, a client sees it You're like, what are you doing up to these low quality ads? It's not low quality. It's been shown 5 times. It's not. Just give it a minute. You have to let this thing go.
Yeah.
And then you're fighting with clients that say, like, I don't want these low quality ads in there. And goes, look, that low quality ad has the best conversion rate in the set.
Yeah.
Like, leave it alone.
At least my clients don't look in there very often.
Yeah.
But we ran into that issue similar to the content issue years ago with a client that was doing ballistic backpacks. When that first became a thing for children to wear a bulletproof backpack.
Yeah.
And there was no real grouping of words or phrases around that, because that came out of nowhere.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden, the client's like, well, we need to start selling these, and they had all these great technical terms, like, but nobody's looking for this.
No.
They're looking for bulletproof backpacks. And you're like, well, they're not bulletproof, they're ballistic. It's like, no, I don't care.
Yeah.
That it's not going to help you. Once we get them on the site, we can explain to them why the terminology is what it is. And even then the client's not going to care. They're going to care, will it protect my kid?
Yeah.
Or will it protect my student walking through college or whatever? So it gets frustrating sometimes dealing with Google, because they're preloaded with so much data that doesn't always apply to every client.
Right.
And convincing them they're wrong can be a challenge.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Doc.
When you're doing it, wear your helmet, Steve.
I want to go back. I go back to what Jeff was talking about a couple of minutes ago, because I think it's applicable in so many instances that you need to look at what the clients are talking about and how they ask questions, and it applies in so many areas. It applies in technical areas, it applies in medical areas, where everybody has this inside language that they all know, but that isn't what the future clients know. That isn't what they're looking for. And so I think we were talking about this last week about, it's like you're writing for the customer first and then for Google, because you have to use their language. And if you're using fancy medical terms or technical terms for say software as a system, if you're using those terms and people don't know what they are, they're not going to be searching for those terms. There's no point in doing that. So I think it's broader than just new products that haven't been formulated by Google yet. It's like across the board. If you need to think what the customer is thinking, what they're thinking, what their language is, and look for the questions that people ask online about whatever your product or service delivers for them. But you can't talk in your insider language, because they aren't going to be searching for that.
Right, definitely. Yeah.
And
Without a doubt.
I think that's really hard, especially, well, nope, because I know I worked with an oral surgeon who just could not get that. That beautiful smile is going to be, is going to be more powerful than whatever his medical terminology was for fixing teeth in the mouth, because people aren't searching for medical terms.
That's funny. That was
People aren't even
that
gonna
did.
read it if they need a dictionary to accompany it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny there that the dentist example is what I seem to use every time in class, that when I'm teaching the content portion of the SEO class, is the idea of like, you've got all these terms, and it goes, meanwhile people are looking like, my tooth hurts. You know,
Yeah,
it's
right,
like,
exactly.
This is what I want my tooth hurts, man. And like, I don't care about a manual bicuspid left-handed, whatever. And I was like, I just still have my tooth hurts, man. It's like, help me. I'm dying over here. Yeah. When I was working for Hilton years ago, search engines have certainly evolved since then, what it is. But I always found the funny thing is when I first started working on the SEO work for their site, which was massive, was that Hilton had a bad case of its own brand superiority, I guess is the best way to put it, in the sense that in the minds of everybody that worked there, Hilton meant hotel, right? And even though the name of the company was Hilton Hotels, whatever it is, it was just Hilton. Everybody called it Hilton. When they wrote it in things, it was Hilton, right? Like, so what you ended up with was a big website that had all these gorgeous descriptions of, like, you know, their high count sheets and the luxurious ballrooms and all kinds of stuff that were on these properties, whatever it is. And then they would forget to use the word hotel in any of the copy that was on the stuff, because why would you, right? Like that. So and then they'd come screaming at me as like, Jeff, how come we don't show up for, like, when I search for, you know, hotel in San Francisco or whatever it is? I goes, well, why would you? You know, you haven't done anything to earn that as far as the way it goes, so you just have to do it. These days, like, that leap is made a little bit better, but even then, back then, forget about it. They just couldn't do it. If they were looking for Hilton, they would show up all day long. But if they were looking for, like, Hilton near the Golden Gate Bridge or you know, hotel near this or hotel this, like, it just wasn't showing up for things, and we have to pay for it. But so it was going through, we had to, like, actually the bigger problem there was, like, most of those places were franchised, and the corporate owned and operated, like, actually had their own teams that write stuff. So I actually had to have these, I had to do a tour. This was before you could really Zoom cast everything and whatever it is. So I had to do a tour to, like, major property groups and stuff like that, and give them a class on how to write about their own properties, so they could, you know, show up in search engines properly. It was a fun time. Thousands and thousands of hotels. Have to convince your boss. Yep, you're gonna have to send me to Hawaii again. I'm sorry. That's we've got 5 properties there. You have to send me to Hawaii. So.
I need to take proper pictures and do proper research.
Yep. I love that job. That's probably my favorite corporate job, was working at Hilton. It was really fun.
So what do people think maybe this helpful content is? I think it's just a new word for value add.
I think it's going to hit these be everything, I am everything websites.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be the worst on the review sites.
Yeah.
Steve, you and I are lockstep on that one. I actually think that's who's going to get hit, or all the review sites. I think it's right at that consideration step. You know, the best this, the best that, the greatest this, whatever it is, all of those type of results, like, they're going to get hard. And I think it's a reaction. Yeah, to something that actually happened earlier this year, which is all those different articles that came out that said, like, Google sucks now. You can't find anything. I was trying to find, like, a review of this, whatever it is, and I always have to add Reddit to my results and all that kind of stuff too. And I think this is them fixing it. Honestly, goodness, I think this is them fixing it. They're going to call it something else, so it's not so dead on. But that's, I think, exactly what's going to happen. So.
We picked up a client recently that their entire content is based around the 25 things here, the 25 things here, and all they're changing is the location or the thing. And then they're blasting out thousands of pages. And it's like, oh, this is going to go horribly, horribly wrong for them, because none of this content's good. None of it. And what little search traffic they're getting is going to vanish entirely. And they're going to have to go to pure paid traffic if they want to continue. Or they're going to spend a lot of time deleting content and rewriting it.
Yeah, because their whole quality is going to get hit. That's going to, yeah.
And I'm sure they paid a lot for the content. You know,
yeah, somebody loves that stuff. I actually don't mind it that much.
But there are, you know, because I was a few months ago out looking for work, and I was just amazed at the way some people ask for content. I mean, it's just all backwards.
Yeah.
It's just all backwards. And they're like, you know, we know what we're doing. And I'm like, no way. It's like, I'm not even applying for this work, and this is ridiculous.
I still have clients
Shooting
saying,
yourself in the foot.
I still have clients saying, here's the 20 keywords I wanted this piece, you know.
Yeah, I know.
I said, no, you give me the topic and I will give you the article, period.
Yep.
Another area I expect to get hit really hard, and it's real specific, is the local realtor niche. You know, those people who have written a ton of generic garbage content about their little area of the world.
Mhm.
What ranking status they had compared to Zillow and Realtor.com and that is going to vanish.
Yeah.
They might still show up in the map pack, but I wouldn't count on it. So I'm waiting to see how that all rolls out, because I have clients in that industry, and I'm really curious to see how that shakes out.
I'm not terribly worried about any of my clients on this. I am kind of interested in seeing one thing. That's when, for instance, we have an automotive client, and when we do a piece on a particular model, it's going to have, let's say, a dozen features that are not necessarily unique to just that model, make and model. You know, there's an autopilot available on this other make and model. There's this braking system, lane keeping system, that sort of thing. So I'm interested in seeing when Google sees a page that has a, let's say, a paragraph that is essentially the same content as site A over here, and then another paragraph is the same content as site B over there, and another one is site C over there, yet it has consolidated these three things in a unique collection. I'm interested in seeing whether that's going to rank under this new quality rollout, because that, if it doesn't.
Doc, is it exactly the same thing as
Oh, no,
ABS?
no.
No,
No,
there's
but
value
no.
add in the unique point of view that they took.
Well, there's you're consolidating too, you know, so I'm taking stuff from 5 different sites and pulling it all in one location. Assuming for a moment that there isn't somebody else out there that's done the same thing, okay.
Probably has.
And the wording is unique, obviously, but each one of those features is not unique. The wording around it is, but the feature itself, you know, anti-braking or lane keeping is present on a dozen different makes and models out there.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm interested in seeing whether or not Google is going to look at that page as an entity, you know, as a total page with value aggregated, or is it going to downgrade it because it's seeing similarity between it and 5 other sites? That's my only area of concern. My hope is that it's going to be the first, you know, that they're going to see it as value added aggregation, but it will not be the
How's that
first time.
value add though, if the same stuff is on other sites, right?
Some of it is, you know, well, like I say,
So,
a
but
paragraph is on.
Everything that's in your post is an idea you got from another site.
No,
I
from
think-
several other sites.
Think of it like a recipe for cake. He's pulling eggs from this place, milk from this place, flour from this place,
Exactly.
and he's creating the cake.
That, yeah, it's a good analogy.
What's
So
going to
is,
differentiate?
so
those
is Google
cars?
going to see it as a cake, or is it going to see it as?
That's my
a-
hope.
Or
Yeah.
is it gonna be
That's what I'm-
Doc's cake, which would make it that's where authorship is really gonna impact
Yeah.
that. Myself, I believe if they think that you actually know about that topic, you have a good chance of ranking. If you're not known for that topic, right? In other words, if you haven't written about it elsewhere, I think good luck with that one.
This is going to
Yeah.
affect dealers more than a manufacturer. I had a problem years ago with a manufacturer of, actually it was greetings cards.
Everybody uses them.
That they produced these cards, had a website, but did not want to outrank the people they sold the cards to, which is not the general public. It was wholesale out to shops.
Mm,
And then you've got that problem is that you have this all the time where you've got somebody like a car manufacturer. Do they want to outrank the local dealership? These days, yes, they do, but maybe not years ago they didn't. And that's going to be the same thing, especially when you've got people selling the same goods all over the place. what they tend to do is just grab the content that the manufacturer's given them, and it's the same on every site all over the place.
Mhm.
With cars back in the day, you had to use their text.
Yeah,
That-
Exactly.
they required it. Yeah.
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 So you know why they did that? Because they're the
Because you couldn't outrank them.
right.
Well, no,
They
that was
also made them.
that was standard
so that you
copy. It
couldn't
was
have
the-
your
yeah.
own site.
yeah, they were just
They
they
paid
also-
somebody to write that copy. You better
Yeah.
use it.
And
Those
that's
are-
people that are definitely going to get hammered by this
Yeah.
algo, I think, is the folks like
Well,
maybe, some affiliates,
maybe there's a brand
distributorships
element.
that they're using the same content as the mother company. They're going to be worthless.
You know what I would think in the scenario of yours? If you had someone who actually reviewed cars and stuff, right? And they talked about the feature, how it might be better than another one on another car or whatever. That's the value add
Yeah.
there, I believe.
Yeah, and comparison articles have traditionally done well if they're well written. Yeah.
So what we're going to see then is pages about cars turning into very similar pages to recipes. So this is my journey, what my grandma did, and this is why I
My
bought this
journey.
car. Down the bottom is all the stuff. So it's basically the same.
That's what we were talking about last week. That's funny. Yeah,
Yeah, we
nice
were.
callback. Yeah. I think that's what it's gonna be. I bought my first Ford back in 1954.
And then we come up to the problem, people don't want to wade through that rubbish just to get down to the details.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Does
exactly.
it have cup holders? Just tell me if it has cup holders. That's what I'm looking.
So
Or you're
I-
putting a $90,000 markup on it.
yeah.
I finished the Umbrella Academy on Netflix 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I wondered if there was going to be a season 4. And I went and looked on Google, and of course, and what I got was a load of pages, magazines like Marie Claire, who have a page called the Umbrella Academy Season 4, Everything We Know. And it turns out everything they know is about season 3, and they know nothing about season 4 whatsoever. And I'm really hoping that I've been since the start of this week. I've been watching this SERP and hoping that and several other sites are going to disappear because they've given me nothing that I actually asked for about season 4. They don't know anything about season 4.
The best place to find that information, Wikipedia.
Yeah, probably
No,
is.
believe me.
Well, somebody
it
usually
is.
will up. So usually somebody updated up.
Because you have a guy who follows that thing, that show, writing about it. He's looking for information on season 4, and he's adding it to that page as soon as it's there. They also, I bet, get information from the companies that are producing the shows. Hey, season 4 is coming up.
Yeah, especially if it's
But
one of the fan Wikipedias are usually updated like right on point too. Those are I read those more than anything. My favorite, by the way, my favorite variant of the Star Wars one. It's called Wikipedia. That's my favorite thing in the world.
Wikipedia.
Yeah.
My favorite one is the Gaelic Wikipedia. So Gaelic and Scottish language. It turned out for about 10 years, there was one young lad editing everything in there, and it's all rubbish. Nobody realized.
Just all
Absolutely
made it
brilliant.
up. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of it's just made up.
Yeah.
He was using he doesn't speak Gaelic. Apparently, he was using Google's translator. Just chucking stuff in.
And they don't speak Gaelic either.
Yeah. we all
Exactly.
know that language is made up just to piss with people anyway. That's not it.
I think that's Welsh you're thinking of.
Well, that too. That's not good. Yeah. Actually,
Also, I have to disagree there. Lovely languages.
As a Scot, I can appreciate that.
77 consonants and 2 vowels.
Get some of your letters well, fantastic. And it's like it goes, well, it's 6 continents and the symbol for boron, I think is what this is. I have no idea how to pronounce this one.
So I've had there was a bit of an issue with Google this week as well. There was sadly a shooting in Liverpool, which made headlines around the world with a 9-year-old girl that got shot. Big news over here because it never happens. In your country, it happens a lot. So probably didn't make the headlines.
Page-
either.
Page 12. Yeah.
There we go. So, but the girl had a really unusual surname, double barrel surname. So I went and looked it up because one of the people involved in the shooting had just come out of prison and has just been sent back, and he was the target. So I went and looked his name up, the girl's name up, thinking, see if there's any background on this. I couldn't find anything because 34 pages of the SERPs are all about that shooting 2 days ago. So I started putting in Google operators and stuff, so I put before the 2022 1st of January this year. I'm getting the same story, and it's on old newspaper website stories, but because it's the latest news on the bottom and that's been indexed, it's still coming up. So I'm looking at old stories, got nothing to do with that at all. And eventually I got down to, I kept putting minus murder, minus shooting, and getting rid of all that stuff. And eventually I came up with pages and pages in the SERPs of foreign languages, exactly the same things as foreign, Turkish and French. And it's obviously the same thing. So Google's got, if they're going to do this unhelpful content thing, they need to do it on themselves. Because that was bloody unhelpful.
Physician, heal thyself, eh?
Yeah.
Indeed.
Well, they don't like a SERP that doesn't have any information
Yeah,
or
that
any
is, yeah.
results.
After they started doing that, that's when that started really getting weird. So it's like, we have to answer it. We have to answer it somehow. We have to, and yeah.
We don't know, so we're going to make something up.
Yeah.
I wish
Good
they
old
would.
right brain.
I wish they would take advantage of tools that Yahoo had, geez, almost a decade ago, maybe more, where they had built-in sliders to the search results, where you could go more commerce, less commerce, more informational, less informational,
Yep.
and it would dynamically sort all that crap out.
We wouldn't abuse that at all, would we?
No, no.
No, not at all. No, but I mean, it came in so handy. I mean, I actually started using Yahoo search because of that, because I could fine tune the results on the fly. It also helped us figure out what Yahoo thought about certain sites, where you could take a look at that site and go, oh, it thinks this site's informational, when it's really not. It's really a commerce site, which tells me their content went too far the wrong direction.
Which is exactly what we'd use it for if they did it. It'd be great. You say, why I'm not ranking for e-commerce stuff, slider, because you're not. So that'd be really quite interesting. Well, Steve's gone as well, no? And Terry.
Terry had a call come in, I think.
Yeah, so the unhelpful, the helpful content, I think I've seen nothing so far. It's meant to be rolling out this week. I've seen no sign of it whatsoever.
Yeah.
I'm still following what people are talking about on Twitter. I've been reading stuff where people have got rid of whole sites because they're scared of it. And maybe that's it. Maybe just Google have said this and people have just closed sites down. And then nothing
Burn
will
it to the
happen.
ground. Yeah.
Yeah, it's worked perfectly.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
We said we
like,
could do something. Everybody panicked and got rid of all the rubbish.
My
Like
favorite
Steve,
is when
I
they
was doing-
de-index half their site for it.
I'm like Steve. I've been using this for mostly entertainment value, just to see all the articles and Facebook posts from folks that consider themselves to be the most informative individual out there, that are so far out in left field they got to have a nosebleed. And personally, I've always written for the user, and I've always tried to provide additional value. So, it's nice being one of those guys that always tries to color between the lines with the Google's guidelines, because I don't have to sweat every damn algo that rolls out.
No.
And this is what I'm not really worried about. I'm curious, like I said, about that one aspect, just to see what's going to happen there. That could affect me a little bit going forward if they take the
Doc doesn't make cakes.
Yeah. If they start calling my cake an omelet, then I'm going to have a problem,
Yeah.
Just have to adjust my approach a little bit.
Wouldn't it be crazy. Simon, I know you and I were talking recipe stuff last week too. Like, would it be hilarious if it just took out the recipe sites? Like that was like the disaster that really happened this one. It just went through and suddenly everything that bubbled at the top are the ones that just get to the point. And it's like, oh man, the gnashing of teeth, the tearing of flesh. Like it just like you will see an industry lose their minds if Google actually went after them.
I'm expecting post my whole career has been wiped away. What do you do?
What if I worked for?
food.
That's because you made a poor career choice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Simon, I can't remember what it was, but I did a search similar to yours because I wanted to find out about somebody where something had happened, and I don't remember what this was. And I kept getting the up-to-date stuff, and I was like, no. So then I went to The Guardian and searched, and then I went back to Google, and Google was like, oh, you want this stuff before. So I'm just telling you that was a personal experience of mine, that somehow searching The Guardian for more information about that person help Google figure out what I was really looking for.
Interesting. I'm going
Yeah.
to try that now.
That was 6 months ago. So
I saw an association entity-wise that kind of blew my mind. They associated used with refurbished. So
Yeah,
you're using
loosely,
the
yeah.
synonym and other things like that. You know, it was even more curious when I looked at the search volume on each, exactly the same.
What a coinky dink, eh?
Yeah, people haven't figured out yet that when you have two terms that they associate, the numbers are always the same. So you can't actually add that to your actual volume because
And
there's only 140 searches between both of them.
And that would make you wonder if that number that they're showing under either one of them is a combined number or an individual number.
Believe it's combined.
I would think it probably would be, yeah. If they say them
But
as
they're
that
both
associated.
If they're both exactly the same and they treat the word the same as like this entity equals this entity, right? That's why the search volume is the same.
Yeah.
Same with I've noticed before. If you look plural and
Singular.
with the same four words in a different order, same number of searches show up for.
yeah, the order doesn't seem to make a difference.
No, but some people think that means both of those searches are getting that volume when it's the two of them are combining.
A lot of SEOs, so-called SEOs, think that, yeah.
Yeah.
You just look at their keyword stuff page and tell.
Yeah.
So that's probably a good one. I know both Steve and I have kind of voiced like who we think is actually going to get hurt the most with the useful content update. Simon, sounds like you're about the same on that one. The Doc, who's going to get hurt the most on that?
No, I think review sites is almost a given.
Yeah,
They're already under attack.
They've been under scrutiny anyway. Yeah, I think
update.
But I think I would add any sort of like auto dealers and affiliate sites, anybody that is a distributor mode that's using essentially the same content as all the other distributors and the manufacturer. This is bound to nail them to the wall.
Yeah, but that's not new.
I don't know.
No, it's not new.
They've always said that stuff.
But I think it's going to be more pronounced, more visible.
What I think is going to get hit is sites, and it won't be that many review sites because they've already hit them so hard. I think it'll be sites where there's 1,000 posts about the same topic. Yeah. And that's what pisses people off, is when you get 10, like Simon said, best of, and all 10 cover the same 10 products, say the exact same fucking thing. And you know what you often find? That the guy who posted first is at the top of the list.
Well, and I've also seen that, like, for instance, like I said, I've got an auto client. You go back and, knowing what month of the year they typically announce their new models, they've got one on their lane keeping technology in March of this year, March of last year, March of the year before that, March of the year
Every
before
year. Right.
that.
So
And they link to the most recent, last year's, and then you go to that article and it links to the year before that.
Yeah.
And it's just a daisy chain of the same damn content. And sometimes it was obviously a rewrite with only a couple of paragraphs swapped out in order, and maybe changing the color of their headings. It's a very
fresh content, baby.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Daddy made you some content. Yeah, come on, just take it. That's all.
you have to watch that on your own site too.
Yeah.
Writing about the same topic too much is.
Oh yeah, it's an easy trap to fall into. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what if your site is that topic?
That I can name you. And I worked in office space, right? How much can you say about an office, right? Like different uses. What I
They did a whole TV show on an office.
there you go.
Yeah.
Plenty of information.
Multi-season series. Yeah.
Well, they don't even place the movie is insane. Trying to outrank for that is like crazy. But I did manage to get on the first page.
No.
All right.
I think something that's going to pop up maybe after we start to see things rolling out is when sites do get bashed by this and the whole site goes, we'll start to see posts from the SEO industry saying how to recover from the helpful content penalty, etc., etc. But anybody that puts anything up before, let's say 6 months, does not know what they're doing. Because they won't have gone through a recovery.
The first week, it's
How
fantastic.
Like, how can you really
well,
take content that's not helpful and make it helpful? Like, start over, just delete it. And
Suck less. Just yeah.
But it's like, Simon, it's like I got my first, video, we can help you letter this morning. I was like, my God, it just came out yesterday.
I have no idea.
But just those fear mongering, it's that fear mongering stuff. It just really angers me because I know that what I got was bullshit, but that there's a lot of people out there with businesses, with websites, because that's how they find you, on your website, right? And they're getting this fear-mongering stuff about videos on your website, and just paciente, s'il vous plaît, and wait and see if Google says something's wrong. They'll tell you. Otherwise, just go with God.
Well, but they won't always tell you. A lot of times you're going to have to be watching your
I got
analytics.
something from
Well,
them.
you have to go and look. Yeah, that's true.
I got something from Google today on videos. I didn't even read it. That's
Market as spam, did you, Terry?
It started out with a page on one of the websites I have, SEO Radio, and it said something about a video, and I said, who fucking cares? Nobody goes there. It was a site I made just to screw around.
No, I don't even go there, right?
I feel that way about my own business website.
Yeah.
There you go.
I don't look at that thing.
Don't look at it. I think the last blog post I wrote for it was over 2 years ago, and I think there was 2 years before the one before that.
You had the business 8 years and you got 4 posts.
Pretty much.
I used to really love that. That was such the that whole volume of content trick was just the rule for such a long time. And you had so many agencies that were just plowing through it. They were just putting stuff out on a regular basis to it. And they were never really taking into consideration audience, right? So one of these were like everything they were writing was for people that were their competitors, you know, like it was kind of like, this is how we do this, or this is the way this works, or this whatever it is. And I go, yeah, your clients don't want to know that. Like this is not the way they do stuff.
Solve my problem.
Yeah. They just fix that, whatever it is. And they're writing stuff. This is the deep detailed dive on how we do this kind of stuff. And what are you showing off? Just to like other SEOs? Is this you keep getting invited to conferences and stuff? It's not. Like that's the only reason I could really see this kind of stuff do it. And we did a bit back when it was Fang and not Amplitude, and we had a guy that was writing for stuff. But even then, I was kind of swayed him. I said, like, let's focus on this, and let's focus on what, like, again, it was about like the questions that were people asking or how this works or what it is. But like it's and that was getting some good love and stuff like that. Or when a new platform would come out, and what the deal is with TikTok. That's how old that was. But it's like that's really what the client's looking for. But I'm sure the people at those agencies are writing this kind of stuff, and they go like, yeah, but the traffic for that's so low. So who cares? It's your clients. Like your clients are looking for that, not other people. Like somebody's looking for like how to make it, how to do SEO. Like they're not looking for you. They're going to hire you. I mean, you can maybe get some traffic, but you're not going to get any like clients for it kind of stuff. What are you bothering it for? But
and that's like one of our biggest clients is their content drives a crap ton of traffic, but it's all people who've already bought.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's great. It means they'll rebuy, and it improves the lifetime value of that person.
Yeah.
But getting people through the door the first time has become more and more of a challenge.
Yeah. I'd give them good credit though. Like that post sale kind of content is usually what's ignored the most. That kind of like the how to and how to install and where do I get more, how do I fix this, or whatever it is like that gets ignored so often, and which is why you've got so many other.
Because people go to YouTube for how.
Yeah, but even then they like even the makers of these ones should be the ones that do it. I was kind of some of the best content I've ever seen around is was at Home Depot. Does fantastic content on that side. They all on the video side usually, but it's how to do this, how to fix this kind of stuff. It's like if Sears was still a viable thing in the world, that they probably would have done that. But Sears was the original content creator. They used to do books and stuff that they released under the Craftsman name and everything like that. It was like my grandfather had volumes of this stuff. It was the way it came out, and like it's but now somebody took that tip and ran with it. But good old Craftsman.
New videos are the biggest category on YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's giant. How to do this, how to this, whatever. But as it should be.
Well, if you're smart, that's how you start your search, to and whatever it is you're looking for.
It's funny, I was at YouTube the other day. I was looking for I wasn't looking for YouTube. I was in Google and I was looking for something to tell me how to accomplish a particular piece of editing on a video. And it took me to YouTube, and it was a video on how to make videos, how to make a how-to video. And I thought, okay, now we're really getting meta here now.
Yeah, it's one of those tricks where like it's like taking a picture of a mirror and you see everything behind you, and like, it's like
oh lordy.
Did you get your question answered, Doc?
Yeah, I did. Find a different tool.
I'm still kind of torn on the YouTube, the Google/YouTube feature where it will recommend something that's kind of like mid video for you, where it'll kind of say, hey, look, just jump here. This is where it is.
Here's the important part.
Yeah, and I've had some good luck with that, but I've also had some just completely random luck, especially with on the woodworking side of things, where you say like, "Hey, I'm trying to figure out how to work this," and it'll send you something that's like some weird sales video, and it doesn't talk anything about it. And I go like, "Ah, that was a miss. What a waste of my time." Even jumping right to that part, it was a big waste of time. But there's been plenty of others where you do it. But yeah,
Isn't that feature dependent on key moments?
yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's got to be something that exists that answers the
Yeah.
question in the first place. But it's but a couple times where
Has to be marked up too.
yeah, it has to be marked up. But even then, like the markup will do it, or something will catch it, and going like, it's really just not. It's not answering the question. That's like it's basically just Google misunderstanding it something, and you know, then my frustration subsides as I'm going. That must have been a really smart question. Must be something nobody's asked before. I'm not. I've discovered a real problem, not something stupid like I usually run into. But.
Well, we're at the top of the hour.
You can only look up how to stop bleeding so many times before Well, on that note, kids, I think we're good.
Yeah, we're at the top of the hour. Thanks everybody for showing up. Let's keep an eye on this algo rollout and see if it makes our predictions come true.